approach that labs are going to be happening. But in OAD, I will put the assignment and you have to complete on time. कैसे कर रहे हो, कहाँ कर रहे हो, it doesn't matter. कैसे कर रहे हो मतलब कि ये कि आप किस टाइम पे कर रहे हो, कैसे कर रहे हो ये मतलब नहीं कि एक ने किया और बाकी सबने कॉपी कर लिया. So if it is clear, you can just put yes and on chat box. Examinations, lab examinations are there offline. Yes, it might be possible that some of the labs, not all the labs, maybe some of the 1 or 2 labs you have to do just before the offline exam. But the whole lab session will not be done again in the offline for OAD. मतलब ऐसा नहीं होगा आप आते से डायरेक्ट एग्जाम देना है आपको. Maybe 1 or 2 sessions offline we can conduct, and thereafter we can take the exam. So you don't have to take whole lab session again and again. And even online maybe आपको एक दे रहा हूँ कि you can submit it at your own within that time constraint. You have to do it at the lab time specifically. You can do it at your own time and convenience. Okay, so before moving ahead to Java, let me share the screen. Okay, so in the first lecture, what we discussed about basic things in Java, and before continuing with the Java, let's discuss some of the basic things that the questions with object-oriented programming. So one of the things why we are studying. So why? So basically, why OOD? Yeah, object-oriented programming. This is the one question that, because we are very comfortable with the object-oriented programming. When we write programs, you take some inputs, can be called as data, you perform some operations, and you print the results, or you save the results in a file. Also, to make it more modular, you use functions, and you use those functions. You call those functions inside the main function, and then the task is done. So basically, in all the procedure-oriented programs, so these are all called procedure-oriented programming. You have two things: you have data and functions, methods that operates on the data. So as the data increases or as the variable increases, you increase the variables and you use it inside the functions. Though it was fine, if you want to include more functionality, you add more functions. So basically, your emphasis on the procedure rather than the data. So you emphasize on the procedure कि task क्या करना है, overall task क्या करना है. You divide those tasks into subtasks, and again you divide those tasks into subtasks, and for each task you write a, let's say, a method or function, and together all these uh, uh, functions contribute to a overall software or developed program. So you're more emphasis on the function side, and you have two basic components that are data and the functions. Now, however, uh, if we talk about real world, the environment, the real world, we cannot capture all the things of real world as a data or function. In real world, mostly the common thing is that the things that we are having in the real world are the objects. If we talk about objects, so we cannot capture all the things. So, for example, data, we can mention the data as an integer, float, or other data types you have, and you can write the functions or methods that operate on those data. But in real world, you have another thing which is called things which are called objects also. If we talk about objects, so basically, what is object, whether it is a data or a function? So let's say, for example, a car is an object. If we talk about car, we cannot represent in a procedural-oriented programming as a data. Also, we cannot mention it as a function or method. But if if, if we think over it, what is the car? Car is an object, and if we think, car constitute two things: the properties, the color, model, and all the things, and some operations that you can perform using perform on the object. So properties like color, model, number, brand, type, and a lot of things that you can put it as a property. However, the properties of the car, properties of an object, you can represent using data. The things like you represent integer, float, and all this thing, or a string. And the operations that you can perform using car, for each operation you can write a function. So basically, objects we cannot represent as a data or function, but yeah, object contains data and function. So together data and function, you can represent an object. That's the one thing that why we use object oriented programming, basically. So objects are neither data or nor function, it is something both. And when we talk about objects, the data actually represents the properties, and the functions actually represent the behavior of the objects. Also, in some books or somewhere, you will have the term called state. It changes in the state, basically transition. So to have a more like real world programming that are more closer to the real world, we need a programming paradigm that is object oriented programming. And object oriented, basically a methodology that uses concepts of objects rather than the uh, data or function. So object-oriented programming is more closer to the real world, and we can capture the real world information through object-oriented programming rather than the procedural-oriented programming. Also, a basic difference, like for example, Basically, you have in procedure-oriented programming, you have a bigger task. Let's say a toy example we can take that. Okay, we want to build a calculator. So you basically divide those tasks into some basic tasks, or we can call it subtasks. And those tasks are, let's say, uh, one is to capture some basic arithmetic operation having same precedence, uh, and other task two is having some other so we are dividing tasks with the same precedence operations, and again you can divide the task into some more subtasks, like T1 is for the addition, and T2 is for the multiplication and division and so on. So basically your focus is on the task or the procedure or the uh, method that you want to perform. So basically this is called top down approach. So whatever you have done with the procedural oriented programming, done in the procedural oriented programming like C and C++, this is called top down approach. Like C or and C++. C++ basically it's both. It's an object oriented program. Uh, it supports the object oriented paradigm also, and as well as it is also a procedural oriented programming. C is purely procedural oriented programming, and whenever you talk about procedural oriented programming, you are having a top down approach. So you have a bigger task, and so your focus or your emphasis also always will be on the procedure or the task that you want to do. But in object oriented programming, what you follow a bottom up approach basically. So instead of having tasks, you have objects, and objects constitute both properties and functions, and this object can communicate with each other objects also, and you basically have a complete paradigm. So you build on the basic objects, and together these objects are considering your whole program or the whole software. So this is more of like bottom up approach. This is again one of the difference between procedure oriented programming and object oriented programming. So these are the basic differences. So objects can communicate with each other using functions or methods. So आपने देखा होगा. So okay. So first of all, just again a question. कितने लोगों ने object oriented programming या basically so object oriented programming का थोड़ा बहुत flavor आपको पता है? Have you used object oriented programming for your programming part? Building classes and the objects. Okay, so mostly having the idea about the object oriented programming. ये अच्छी बात है. So बीच बीच में मैं अगर directly कोई example भी दूं तो you can understand it. So this is the basic difference. Now there are three pillars of object oriented programming basically. एक तो आपका difference ये होगा कि it is a bottom approach and it is a top down approach, and still why we need object-oriented programming? One reason is that we want to capture the real world, and we want to move the programming closer to the real world environment. The second is actually whenever you build, you want to reuse it. So we want to have a functionality called code reuse. So this is actually it, can be captured efficiently using object-oriented programming. So you can build a class and you can use those class again and again in your program. So code reuse, moving to the uh, closer world. These are the basic aspects of object-oriented programming. Some of the features or the pillars we call it. Uh, One is encapsulation that is provided uh, by object-oriented programming. Uh, Encapsulation means since most of the students mm, uh, have some understanding of object-oriented programming. So whenever you create an object, for example, let's say string object, आपने create किया and you can call a method, let's say sub string, and you can pass some arguments on it. So you can see with the string object, you're calling a method substring. So basically, this object constitute a behavior substring, and that substring behavior can be applied on that string. However, let's say, for example, if you have an integer variable or some other variable, and if you try to apply a substring method on it, even in Python, if you try to apply uh, any method on a different object rather than the objects uh, that on which it usually works, you will find out it will give you an error, and basically the scope and the other errors it will give. So basically there is no method. So for example, in Python, there will be error that there is no method an integer class. uh, so basically encapsulation means data and function or method. So basically when you read Java, so because it is fully object oriented programming, you will have a terminology methods instead of functions in Java. So basically data and functions, and if you are reading C++, you will have a terminology functions usually rather than the methods. And अगर आप Python पढ़ रहे हो तो उस टाइम दोनों आएंगी functions when you define the functions, and whenever you talk about object oriented programming, it uses term methods. So encapsulation means data and functions are together bind into a single entity called objects, and other objects that belongs to some other class cannot use the function uh, that belongs to some other class. So basically you cannot call the functions from other objects outside a particular class. So cannot use those functions. So this property, so we are binding together data and the associated functions together into a single entity called objects. This property is called encapsulation. And the second pillar, which is called inheritance. Inheritance means you can reuse the code and from the superclass into subclass, and from the subclass to other subclasses uh, in any way, in a single inheritance, multiple inheritance, another. So this is the second property that object oriented programming have. Third one is polymorphism. Polymorphism means that you can have uh, same name and you can have different behavior. So same name, many form. This is the shortest definition of polymorphism. So you can define name with the same name, define the functions or methods with the same name, and at the time of calling it, compilers resolve the ambiguity by using the number of arguments and the type of arguments at the time of calling. So This is the three players. Don't worry, we'll go about it in the upcoming lectures. So these are the three players that we see in the object-oriented programming. And why object-oriented programming? उसका भी हमने, I just give you a snapshot. Okay, so going back to Java, let's move back to Java, and I'm stopping the screen. I'm sharing again. Okay, so again, don't worry. For 2-3 lectures, we are going to have Java basics, so that you are comfortable with the Java language. Also, as I told you that Java is fully object-oriented programming. That is everything. Whatever we write inside a class. So there is no concepts of global functions that we can write outside the classes. So most of the languages are either compiler either use compiler or interpreter, that is interpreted language. So however, Java is actually both. It compiled and it interpret both. So basically Java compiler, whenever you write a source code in Java and you save it some file name a.java, let's say, and you compile it, it creates a intermediate code called bytecode, and that intermediate code is actually run on a machine called JVM, Java Virtual Machine, which is not a machine, it's a software. And that bytecode is actually inside the dot class file. So it is so basically Java is a similar computer within a computer, all the major functions of a real computer. So it's like a virtual computer. And that bytecode is run using the interpreter. So both things are used, compiler and interpreter. It is a interpreted language also, it is a compiler also. बेसिक ऑपरेटर्स आई विल नॉट गो इनटू द डिटेल्स. कहीं कहीं जहाँ पे मुझे लगा कि हाँ यहाँ पे जावा में डिफरेंस है और वहाँ नहीं है, आई विल शो यू, otherwise we'll move ahead quickly. So all the relational operators, you basically know the functionality of all the relational operators that you can use. This is a basic example, having a 2 integer variables, and you can perform all the operation and you can check whether it is true or false for all these. So if you want to, okay, so मैं कहीं और आ गया हूँ मैं. Okay. So these are the basic relational operators that are there in the Java, and basically in all other languages. You can check and you can perform this operation by writing a simple class, test class, and you take 2 variables and you can perform all these operations. For printing, as we have discussed in the first class, we use system.out.println or print. Both are there, and instead of comma you use plus there. So whatever you write inside the double quotes, it will be printed as it is. And if you want to print the value, you can compare it. For compilation, you use Java C file name .java, and the file name can be equal to the class name, main class name, or a different one. But it is usually you kept it same name as a main class name. And so at the compilation time, you give the file name, and at the run time, and for running it, you give the class name. So since both are the same, so we are just compiling it, running it. So that's a trivial example. You can check it. You can write it a single program to have a find a maximum 3 numbers, just to not to check the programming part, because you already know the programming, just to just to being comfortable with the syntax of Java language. Again, the logical or conditional operators are same. Logical AND, when both are true, then it will be true. Logical OR, when any one of the true is true and not is a suppose. So you can again work upon with some basic examples. I'm not going to details of this. Assignment operators, and you have composite as shortened operators like plus equal to, minus equal to, and multiplication equal to, working same in other languages and Java languages. Pre-increment, post-increment, again the same thing if you are using pre-increment and post-increment. So okay, so एक चीज और, अगर किसी को लगता है कि नहीं स्लो चलना है तो बता देना, अदरवाइज ये बेसिक वाला पार्ट में ऐसे ही just for the sake of completeness I'm moving it. Okay, so only relational operators are visible. One second. मैं वापस शेयर करता हूँ. Okay. Now I think it's fine. Okay, मैं आगे पहुंच गया था. Okay, so basically बेसिक जो पार्ट है मैं थोड़ा सा स्पीड में ही निकालूंगा ताकि हम ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड प्रोग्रामिंग के कंसेप्ट पे जितनी जल्दी वो पहुंचे. Just for the sake of completeness, we are just having a quick overview of Java basics. We can also test logical operators by writing a simple program. If you want to just have a basic understanding, you can write those basic example. For not doing a basic syntax error, if you have not used the Java language, if you have not worked with the Java language, I would suggest you to write some of the basic programs that you always write to start with a new language, so that the basic compilation errors, the basic errors hoti hain, wo na ho. Normally in Java language, the basic errors that usually students do, like system is a class and you write in a small letter. So everything that is the class, we start with a capital letter. The string is also class. So it will again give you error if you write a string small. AR arguments, so ARGS, you can write anything. This is just the name of an array. It won't give you any error. Apart from that, all the keywords are in the small letters. And in pre-increment, post-increment, do the usual things like in other programming languages. It increment or decrement by 1. If you are not using into an expression, then both post and pre works the same. Ternary operator, conditional ternary operator, similar to the that exists in C. Only one ternary operator is there. There is a condition. If it is true, then this value will be selected, or the expression will run. Otherwise, this. Loops, do while, and for loops are same in Java also. So you can write do while and for loop inside the main function. So you can go through this basic programs. For taking input, you use scanner class for basic input. You can create the object of this scanner class and you take the input using the functions provided this class. So you can see a built-in class is also consisted of functions or methods basically. Again, the usual the second mistake that students do from the past experience, that uh, for taking input you create an object of scanner class, and what students do, they take one input, and for again taking another input, they again create an object of scanner class. So it is not necessary. You can create an object of scanner class once, and you can use it multiple times, until unless main function the main function bracket does not reach the objects there inside the memory, and after that it is automatically uh, will become a garbage, and it will be collected by the garbage collector of Java. For loop, I won't go into the syntax of for loop. Again, it is the same. And what I will do, I will after this class, I will put a basic assignment, lab assignment for this week. Again, you can do it at your time. So for this week means uh, before starting the class of next week, you have to submit it. So now आपको चाहे Sunday को करना हो, you can put it, you can do it on Sunday or anytime. So again you can write an infinite for loop also. Uh, Hemchandra series you already know. If you know, how many of you know about Hemchandra series? Any idea about Hemchandra series? Okay, so I have something to discuss with you. Okay, so Hemchandra is actually basically the Fibonacci series is not discovered by Fibonacci. It is actually discovered way earlier by a poet. I think it was there in India who discussed the patterns in music, and through it generates the Fibonacci series. So not Fibonacci series, Hemchandra series. So basically, Fibonacci series is not the Fibonacci series. It is a Hemchandra series. So you must have. अगर मैं आपसे Fibonacci series के बारे में पूछता तो आप सबको पता थी Fibonacci series क्या है. But the Hemchandra was the first who discovered the Fibonacci series. You can read it about anywhere in the Google or the Quora or somewhere else. You can go and you will discover that it was actually discovered in India way before the the Fibonacci discovered. The one thing that we Indians don't do initially was we we mostly even पुराने time में the gurus and the shishya was the culture was there, and the main thing that was there, that they always transfer the knowledge by सबको सुना के. Actually there is no written thing was there in India. If somebody want to pass a knowledge, he always give the lectures by just talking about it. So even you must have seen the Ramayans and also वहाँ पे group बस सुना रहे हैं. There's no written work is there. So basically, all some of the innovations that is done in the India was basically are all in the not in the actually in the written form. So basically, Hemchandra was first to discover this. So it is same as the Fibonacci series basically. And this is a simplest example to write Hemchandra series or the Fibonacci series in Java using the loops. Enhanced for loop, this is one thing that you can use in Java. So basically you write for, type, identifier, and the expression and the statements. So you must have used in the Python also, right? Iterative loop. So you can write for, and you can define the type int, and so in Python you don't have to define the data type. And the variable name, for example, let's say in normal for loop you write I, and the expression in which you want to iterate. So for example, if we have given an array, again we'll see the syntax of arrays in Java. So it is different. You have set of numbers from 10 to 100, and you want to iterate it from 10 to 100. You can write a short form of the for loop, which is an enhanced for loop, for int, item, or I, or j, whatever you want to write the iterator, and the colon and the array name. And with that I or item, you can do whatever you want to do inside the for loop. So this is the enhanced for loop that is supported in Java, and mostly those who are good in Java, they use this form of the iterative loop. Break and continue work same as there in other programming languages. So won't go into detail of that. Labels you can use in the Java also. So you can move from label to label. Now, similar to C++, you can use printf function also. So again, the outstream class have printf function as well as the println function. So you can use the printf function inside the Java also, having again same syntax as a C language, sum of the two numbers, %d for the integer, comma sum. So you can use the printf statement inside the Java also. So this is the basic example of showing a use of printf. Float numbers in Java is actually okay. So मैंने I think पिछली वाली slide last lecture complete नहीं की. So float numbers are actually suffixed with a small f or capital F. So whenever you want to declare a float, you write number, and it actually ends with a suffix with a small f. So what I will do, एक काम करते हैं, टाइम हो गया है. So मैं इस स्लाइड को, जो पिछली वाली स्लाइड को, दोनों को आज गूगल क्लासरूम में रखता हूँ. You can go through these two slides, and in the next class we will start with some basic questions जो आप इन स्लाइड में आप just go through it कि अच्छा ये चीज that can be repeated, or you have any doubt, you just ask me and I'll give you the answer. So that's it for the base class. We'll see in the next lecture.